Welcome to the Woodpreneur Podcast, the best podcast for the business and marketing side of the sawmill, lumber, and wood industry. What's a woodpreneur? If you have a business where you make money as a woodworker, sawmill owner, selling slabs, or a content creator, then you're a woodpreneur. My name's Steve Larziliere, and I started Woodpreneur Life, Acres of Timber, and the Woodpreneur Podcast just for makers, wood entrepreneurs, and small business owners just like you. We're on a mission to empower thousands of wood businesses to grow sustainably and put out great products. Each week, I interview makers, sawyers, content creators, and 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs that know the wood industry inside and out. With topics covering everything from the urban lumber movement, sustainable sourcing and design, we'll discuss the ins and outs of how to grow, monetize, and fully immerse yourself in the woodpreneur lifestyle. If you're a hobbyist, a full-time wood business owner, part-time entrepreneur who wants to become a content creator, or quit your day job to pursue your dreams, the Woodpreneur Podcast is just for you. Thanks so much for listening. Now enjoy this episode. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur Podcast. This is your host, Steve Larziliere. Today's guest is Brent from BYOT. How you doing, Brent?
Doing good. How about you, Steve?
Good. Thanks for hopping on the show. So we met last year at IBS. Our mutual friend Ethan introduced us. It's been fun following your stuff over the past year, and I figured I should get you on the podcast. Why don't you tell everybody about your channel, your show, and actually how did you get started in this space?
It's been a unique journey. Everyone's journey in content creation, I feel, is a little bit different, but mine started because I was that individual that just loved building, loved learning how to build things, especially at an early age. Went to school for construction management. I worked for GCs and subcontractors, and I bought my house back in 2010, and it was, the ugly duckling, needed everything. And I started using YouTube quite significantly just to try and help myself learn how to do everything, because I did have a construction background, but I didn't know how to do everything myself. And years down the road, years later, I couldn't find a video on a specific subject. And I said to my girlfriend at the time, now wife, maybe I should do a YouTube video to help someone else out because YouTube's helps me so much. And that was back in 2016. Started uploading as regularly as I possibly could at that point, and lo and behold, slowly started gaining a following. And it's been an amazing journey since then. I quit my job back in October 2019, not to do content creation full time, but to do my own construction company. So I had my own contracting home remodeling business that I started in October 2019. But of course, 3 months
3 months
later,
later.
COVID
Yeah.
hits. And so all of a sudden, I couldn't get into anyone else's house. But luckily, at that point, I had a nice backlog of videos. I probably had approximately 100 of videos or so at
That
that
weren't
point
posted?
on YouTube. No, that
That
were
were posted.
posted.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden, my views just skyrocketed because everyone started, was at home trying to do their home improvement projects because they had some extra time on their hands. And I told my wife just, hey, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get into anyone else's house at this point. I'm going to put all my cards into content creation. And it was definitely the best decision I could have ever made for myself.
That's really, really cool. Yeah, I love that. I love that story. And did you ever go back to construction, or did you just go all in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely I consider myself a content creator now, not a
Yeah.
contractor. But as of literally right now, I am at a job site building and putting in a full drainage system. So I'm still working on construction within my own business. It's just this more the side character with my content creation realm.
How did you come up with the whole brand? Because your brand, I mean, it's simple, but there's like some purpose and intent behind it. Like it, it doesn't look by accident.
As in by the name or just the content itself?
No, just the brand, the look, the logo, that sort of stuff. Like, how'd you come up with that?
It's just in all honesty, it was just kind of a perfect amalgamation of what I was, what I wanted. And luckily, I still to this day give my wife full credit over the name BYOT because When I first started the channel, I was probably thinking about what to name it for a couple weeks. I just couldn't think of a good name at that point. And lo and behold, I asked my wife just randomly in the car as we're driving somewhere. And within 5 seconds, she just blurts out, "How about BYOT? Bring your own tools."
Mm,
And I just looked at her in astonishment, just be like, "Have you been sitting on this forever? Because this is the absolute perfect name." And that to this day is probably going to be with me for the rest of my life, and all thanks to her.
that's awesome. Um, I mean, talk about your contracting side. Do you have a team? Is it like, what kind of work do you do? Like, how much time are you putting in between both?
So as of right now, it's just me, myself, and I. I'm definitely in that mode of figuring out who to hire next,
Hmm.
just because I know how much weight I put on myself, and it's a lot. So I do have that innate internal individual saying I can do everything myself. But now, because of how big the company's getting, I know I'm just hindering myself if it's just myself. So I'm now trying to transition into a larger outfit. But as of right now, I'm the only one that's doing the construction. I may hire a laborer here or there just to help me out on a job site, but I'm personally the one that's building, creating every single week, and also doing all the voiceover, all the editing, every single video that you see on my platform. That's from me editing it.
Well, you're busy. That's wild. You're busy.
Yep. And I got two kids under four,
Oh
so definitely have my
man,
hands
yeah,
full.
yeah, yeah. Just throw it. Sounds like you had a COVID baby, two underneath.
So funny story about that as well is that when I quit my job, so me and my wife were trying to have our first kid for a couple
Yeah,
years. It took us like we had a lot of trouble trying to have our first kid, and it took us a couple years and we didn't have any luck. I quit my job. Within 1 month of me quitting my job, she was pregnant. And and of
needed to
course,
quit your job.
now I really need to figure out my whole job trajectory because now I have a baby
Yeah,
coming and then COVID hits, and the rest is
that
history.
that's gonna make that's a great story for 20 plus years from now, right? Like Daddy
Oh
had
yeah,
to quit his
for sure.
job in order to be in the right space for you to. Hey, we needed a global pandemic in order for you to be born into this world. Like
There we go. There we go.
it's it as wild as the pandemic was. It really was a blessing for a certain segment of people. It not obviously not for everybody, but like out of dark times, good can happen, and people were at home. There was the focus on family, a little bit more DIY, like more people views. I talked to Cam at Blacktail Studios, and he was like, "Yeah, his because of the pandemic, like he blew up as well." And um, how, talk to me about the like who's your audience? Like who when you think about the person that is like a diehard BYOT, subscriber, like who are they?
The unique thing about content creation is just there's so many people watching at this point, and who knows what the avenue is.
Mm-hmm.
What I've tried to stay focused on from the very beginning was just audience first, trying to help that individual. From my YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, if you ever watch my YouTube videos, they're very tutorial based. I'm literally talking throughout the entire process of the video because I want not only to show you, but I also want to verbally tell you exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it to help the audience learn as much as possible through that entire video process. So not a lot of channels do that, and it's because I'm really focused on trying to help that individual because that's what gives me passion. That's what allows me to be able to continuously do this on a daily basis because if I didn't have that kind of top tier mindset of I'm trying to give back in a positive way to that next generation or that next person, then I don't think I'd be able to do what I do every single day. And that I think provides me a really quality mindset along with now I'm doing a lot of trade show content, and that's more entertainment, more fun, but I'm really not putting myself in front of the camera because I want that person or that company to showcase their product in the best light possible. Me coming in as someone that's just handling that product for the very first time might be more entertaining, but it might not be as educational than that expert that's showcasing that product.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I got you. So it almost like you put your audience and even your like the brands that you highlight, you put them first and you are the facilitator of that, right? So like you're
Exactly.
yeah, that's an interesting approach. And did you have any sort of interesting stories of subscribers and some of the feedback they've gotten from or do you have a moment, remember, where you're like, oh, I think I made the right decision, right? Do you remember that moment?
So there's so many moments, but I remember back in March of 2020, right before COVID really hit the United States. I went to a convention called Workbench Con.
Yeah.
It's for content creators and a lot of woodworkers. And I remember because I was in that mix
Oh,
of,
I was there
am I going
too.
to
I
be
was there too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think we even knew
Yeah,
each
yeah,
other
we
at
didn't
that
know
point.
each
That's
other.
so
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The world shut down literally right after that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Literally right after that. And I remember to this day, there at the show, and I was kind of at a Y trajectory because my channel was kind of two different things, at least my YouTube channel was. It was detailed tutorial videos, DIY home improvement, but there was also woodworking. And I really loved that woodworking, that epoxy, the creative side, because I do very much have an artistic creative side mindset.
Yeah, your walnut
And I
dining
wanted to
table
go,
video is 2.3 million view. That's wild. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. And so I really wanted to go that trajectory, but I still had, at the time, I was noticing more views were popping off on my detailed tutorial videos on how to im- on home
Home
improvement
improvement. Yeah,
elements
yeah.
versus woodworking. And so once COVID hit right after that, and all of a sudden I started seeing immense viewership. It was immense viewership based upon home improvement, not woodworking, because all of a sudden it was how to build a deck, how to build a shed, how to build a fence, how to grow grass. All those videos exploded, not my woodworking. And so making sure that I was mindful of that, I really had to say, okay, I'm going to give up woodworking, not in total, but a large focus of mine needs to now be DIY home improvement because this is where my revenue is coming from. This is where the interest is. I need to push go, especially with the fact that at that point, I didn't know where my next check was coming from because I didn't know when I'm going to be able to get into anyone else's house. And I was working for myself.
So what you say is you have to like read the data and do what your audience and what the market is telling you to do and not what you personally want to do.
With there's a give and
Yeah.
take.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
obviously something that you can't just completely change who you are because I always say to stay focused on that, but there's a real element as an entrepreneur of realizing your limitations and realizing what is working, what isn't. And the beautiful element of that is to have that mindset and to be able to tell yourself truthfully, this is what's working, go towards this. Don't hinder yourself, but by that one thing that you truly want, because you might not find the success, and as well as the fact that you might enjoy this this avenue more just because you let something else go. At this point, the I love the fact that I chose the home improvement route versus the woodworking route because the fact that I feel like I'm truly helping more people out there.
Yeah.
The trades are the trades are uh, a massive interest in my mindset in helping people maybe just get that DIY realm mindset or also just going into the trades. that's a huge element that I really enjoy and I'm able to hopefully give to people out there in the BYT audience.
That's cool. Yeah, I really love that focus. Sometimes you gotta, I mean, it kind of reminds me of something my mother would say. It's like sometimes you gotta give up what you love to get what you like. Give up what you love the most to get what you ultimately want, right? And so like what you really wanted to do is to like make a difference, make some money, right? Like, and just kind of letting go of certain things. And also too, you can probably at this point maybe like dabble back in, but I think in the beginning of anything, like having a clear focus is really important. And I guess with content creation as well, right? Is that something that you found?
For sure. That not every home improvement project does well on my channel. There's always ebbs and flows with everything. But the element of what's nice about it is the fact that I am now a substantial size content creator, and so I can dabble here and there in something unique, something different. Even as of recently, I started posting, it's not really woodworking, it is building out of wood. So I recently started building these storage systems for a mobile storage unit on my channel, just because one, I wanted a storage system in my garage,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden there was immense interest in that realm, so much so that I made plans for them, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, we're selling thousands of plans now
What?
and making a significant amount of money just off of digital plan sales, where you never know where this content creation realm is going to take you. So just because you're set in stone in one realm doesn't mean that you can't kind of differentiate yourself slightly in different realms.
Yeah, yeah, and that flexibility too of being creative and testing things out, and your audience telling you, you know, what's working and what's not. Like it's funny. I was talking to a client the other day, and we were just having like a, I call them clarity calls. It's just like help people just get clear. And out of that, just one conversation, a new idea sprung up that can benefit multiple people. And ultimately, too, it's like when you are in business for yourself and you can get to the point where you can be creative, amazing things happen when you're not stressed, right? Like when you're not stressed and you can, you know, play around and try new things. You know, what's the, can you talk about your creative process about like how you come up with the types of, are you is your audience telling you the videos, or are you doing it yourself?
So with the fact that I'm more construction home improvement based, it majority of the projects come about with the fact of, what do I have to do around the house, my own house, or what do I have to do for other people that come to me? Because I don't solicit my company in any way. People, friends, family, neighbors, they all come to me because they have a home improvement project that they want. And so trying to figure out what I'm going trying to figure out what I'm going to do next is very simple and straightforward for myself.
You're literally
The
documenting what you're getting paid for.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So yeah, there's the beauty about content creation. There's so many different ways to to monetize yourself. And as a contractor, okay, I'll build you a deck, I'll remodel your bathroom, I'll remodel your kitchen, but you're going to pay me to do so while I'm videotaping.
Incredible. That's so cool.
And I'd say 70% of the projects you see on my channel are for other people nowadays, because at a certain point you run out of home improvement projects for everyone, luckily.
Luckily, yeah, 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 because you don't get paid for those. So, um,
Although then there's sponsorship
for
opportunities.
sure, for sure. Did what's the sort of downside of about what you're doing? What don't people know?
There what was
What
that?
don't people know about being a full time content creator?
There is a very real element of feeling alone
Mm,
as a content creator, as a entrepreneur. There is a unique mindset that we all have, and I am. I'm so grateful for where I'm at in life right now, because I never thought I'd be here,
Yeah.
and making more money than I ever thought before. Have an amazing family, have that life structure, but it's exhausting, and it's definitely a lonesome road, just because you're doing it by yourself. It's not like anyone else in the studio is with me while I'm working. I don't have a coworker to talk
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
The nice thing about going to events like Workbench Con is to talk to other content creators and being with people that actually understand you.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so important to go to those events, because those are your coworkers that you maybe see once or twice a year.
Hmm.
And luckily with that element, I now have contacts that I talk on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, just to say, hey, how's it going? What's up? And that's a really nice element to avoid that lonesomeness.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as an entrepreneur, you're working, especially as a content creator, you're working. This is a side gig. This was a side gig for years. I started back in March 2016. I didn't even quit my job until October 2019, and I didn't make it a full-time career until COVID hit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's years in the making of
So
not
eight
making
years, 8 years
anything.
of making videos, and only about almost 4 years of since you were able to like make a living off of it.
Yeah, and you know, I remember working on job sites, and people knew that I was a content creator. At least I was doing content creation on the side, and they were asking me, how much do you even make doing that? And at that time, I was making probably 2 grand a month. And of course, a simple mindset would be, well, you're never going to be able to make a living off of that. Yeah, not that time,
Yeah. Yeah.
but compounding elements of becoming that entrepreneurial self as a content creator has just built an insane amount of wealth, because there's so many different avenues.
Yeah.
The element of realizing, don't get paid an hourly wage, get paid based upon the product that you're producing, so you
Mm,
get paid no matter what.
yeah.
I'm on this call with you right now. I'm getting paid because someone's watching my videos, someone's purchasing plans, and so forth. So no matter what time of day it is, BYOT is making money, and that is a very real element and success and mindset that I had to drive into myself and create myself, because that's not a given. And especially when you're working that 9 to 5, and you've worked that 9 to 5 for
For
years.
years. Yeah.
I remember when I quit my job, I was insanely scared. I I didn't know what was going to come of it.
Yeah. And you just had a kid. You were about to have a kid, right? Like you, and that
Yeah.
it is a super scary time. Like it's scary to go at it, A, and feel alone, B, to like do something that maybe very small percentage of people do, but you in your head, like you have this vision of what you'd like to do, but the world around you is telling you that it's not possible, but you know that a very small percentage of people in the world can do it. And then you're this balancing act, like, can I do it? Am I a fraud? Is this real? This is nuts. I'm gonna go for it. I'm like, and there's all these crazy emotions. Um, and I mean, what kept you sane? What kept you motivated during that time?
Just the number one would be just, I'd say number one would be my wife.
Yeah,
Just she was my rock.
yeah,
She I remember the fact that she had more belief in me than I did at a certain point.
yeah, yeah. What a blessing, man. That's such a blessing.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's lucky.
Yeah,
I know not everyone has that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think the other element would be just thinking about who I was and how things didn't come easy. I'm and how I never felt right in the uh, the 9 to 5. For some reason, I didn't feel like a normal 9 to 5 individual,
Yeah.
and I don't know if everyone feels that way. I know plenty of people love to have a 9 to 5 because they work those hours and they're off and they don't ever have to think about work again that the rest of the night.
Yeah.
I'm always on. I'm always thinking about work. I'm always thinking about, okay, what can I be implementing in my business? And that's what a true entrepreneurial has and thinks about. But personally about myself, I'm dyslexic, and so I had a very hard time through school, a hard learning upbringing, but was still able to graduate and so forth. And I think having that element of just things were different, and I think that's why I fell in love with YouTube and a content creator, is because the fact that all of a sudden I found YouTube and I found this amazing opportunity to learn the way I would like to learn
Yeah.
in a visual element, not in a textbook, because I was a horrible reader.
Mm,
I all of a sudden found YouTube and loved learning and found this amazing opportunity to appreciate how to learn again in a visual element.
yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I have to think, I was like, man, God bless the internet, man. Like, it's just like the fact that that we could make a living in a digital realm, and we get to be ourselves. Like, I think, like you said, it's like it's lucky. Not a lot of people get to see that, and 99% of the world looks to, whether it's structures or companies or institutions, for that safety and security. And you have this this alternative way of looking at life that says, like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna bet on myself, and I'm gonna believe in myself. And I'm lucky enough to have a partner and a spouse that believes in me, and sometimes believe in me more than I believe in myself. And you need that. And I haven't talked about it in probably about a year, about, like, I've looked at, either some of my clients or just people that I've worked with, like, having that support system there to just push you along. And even still, sometimes you have people that they don't actually believe it, but they have to believe it for you because they see that you want this really bad. um because otherwise, what's the alternative? Like misery in a job and a career that you absolutely hate. um and you're not going to be good for anybody at that point, so you might as well just bet on yourself and go for it. You know what I mean? Like, um that's really cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's like super vulnerable and sharing. I have a lot of there's a lot of my audience that aspires to go full time, and I personally helped about 10 people quit their jobs, go full time doing, a wood business. And I've done it 3 times myself separately. 2 other times were businesses where I started them and then I left them to start something else. But it's a
Mm.
super liberating feeling, but very lonely, very lonely, you know?
Yeah, I'll still never forget the feeling of quitting my job, being scared to figure out, where that next paycheck is coming from, because you're always that, again, if you're in that 9 to 5 realm and working on a salary, you've always had that paycheck coming in
Hmm.
and you've relied on that paycheck. But now all of a sudden you're the one that has to hunt
Yeah.
on a daily
Yeah.
basis and figure out how to work this realm,
Yeah.
and realizing that it is possible and life can be so much more than what you think is out there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Hey everyone, Steve here. I've been thinking a lot about how we can all push our wood businesses forward, especially in these times when adapting and innovating are more important than ever. That's why I'm thrilled to introduce something brand new from Woodpreneur Podcast, and it's the Woodpreneur Live Sawmill and Lumber Business Summit. Mark your calendars for May 17th because we're creating a space where you can dive deep into the latest strategies for marketing, branding, and scaling your business. And here's the cool part. It's entirely up to you how you want to experience this. Join us virtually from your workshop or in person at Woodmiser in Portland, Oregon. Either way, you're going to be part of a community looking to grow and thrive together. This summit is the kickoff to our Woodpreneur Live series, focusing on bringing actionable insights to every niche within the woodworking and sawmill and lumber industry business owners. And you're up first. We got a lineup that's going to blow you away. Real talk from real experts who understand the nitty gritty of our trade. You want in? Head over to woodpreneur.com/live. Once again, that's woodpreneur.com/live to get on the wait list. Being on this list means that you get first dibs on registration because space will be limited. I look forward to seeing you at one of the upcoming Woodpreneur Lives, and head over and get yourself registered. Take care. How do you stay ahead personally, professionally? Like, how do you sort of take care of yourself or do any, personal and professional development?
I again going to those conferences like Workbench Con and Vid Summit. Those are always really educational, and in all honesty, sometimes the best part about it is just talking to other
Or
creators.
networking?
It's
Yeah.
not about it's not about the speakers, the public speakers that are there at the events, even though they can provide very valuable information.
Mm-hmm.
The information that I was given from just conversations that I've had with content creators at these events have worked into my business in hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
Like it's truly amazing to think about, okay, this one little conversation that I had with this one person is now generating so much revenue for myself because I had this one conversation at this event.
that's awesome. Yeah, I love networking. I just recently went to a conference and I barely paid attention to what was said during the conversations, and I was just soaking in a lot of the networking, and having conversations, because you realize that, like, if you're there for a reason, and it's really about forming those connections, because those relationships can last you. And again, like, yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with somebody at the last conference that I went to, and I was like, wow, I think we just realized that at least $1 million worth of value between the both of us. You know what I mean? Just like it was that impactful. So what's the plan for this year for you?
Plan for this year is in a there's a few different underlining elements that has been reoccurring or have occurred this year, because last year was our most successful year to date in terms of views and followership. This year is turning out to be even better than last year, even though it's just a month in or so. We've seen insane growth just within this last month. And what I've tried to steadfast within my business structure is the fact that I'm trying to produce a detailed tutorial video on home improvement every other week. I'm also implementing a new video series on my YouTube channel that is how things are made.
Mm.
I just released my very first video on that series last month, and I'll be doing another one this month. And last month was how quartz countertops are made. And
Huh.
from construction, from my past construction experience, I have always loved learning how things are made that we take for granted every single
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah.
So trying to implement one of those videos every single month. And then on top of that, I'm basically trying to go to as many construction related trade shows as possible this year. So I'm producing more content on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube Shorts on a daily basis.
That's cool. I love that. And because what it does is like, it's like professional development for you. You can also utilize it in your own construction company, and then you can also utilize it and be more educated and knowledgeable about what's the next set of tools and systems and brands out there for your audience. So it's almost like you're kind of really like embodying the mantra of like audience first, right? Like audience first is like you are. I mean, in marketing, I forgot what they call it. It's not like it's either like the reporter or the reluctant hero, right? And I almost feel like you're more of a reporter, right? Like you're like, or documentary style, right? Like you're doing the thing. You're like, hey, come along with me, and this is, and then I'm gonna show you, and it's the same thing with your builds and your tools. That's really cool. I love that perspective.
I'll give you a fun little insight here. So with with it being always audience first, and akin to that is trying to stay consistent. And with Instagram, for let's say I started my Instagram DIY page back in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I was working on that in the DIY realm for
Yeah,
years. I probably had 15,000 followers starting right around this time last year.
yeah,
And that was because I was steadfast on trying to produce detailed quality short form videos that were tutorial based upon my video structure previously, or like within my YouTube structure.
you had fifteen
So it
thousand
took me,
last year. This time,
yes.
did you really grow 485,000 followers in a year?
So so excuse me, the first of this year, so January 1st, I was at 400,000 followers. Within the last month, within this year alone, this is February 7th, this year alone, we've generated 100,000 followers within the last month. It's
Wow.
insane.
Wow.
And it's strictly because I realized what I want, or I realized what was working and what wasn't, and realized, okay, just because I want to produce DIY home improvement projects on Instagram doesn't mean that that's what people want to see on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Well, I started posting stuff from trade shows last year, and all of a sudden, everyone wanted to see what's the next cool product material item at these trade shows. Well, I'm happy to give it to them, especially if they're going to be watching millions and millions of videos every single month just because of that.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. So you
Yeah.
found your little corner of the world.
Yep, I found my niche, and again, it takes years to do
Yeah, yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah.
It just because you start off in one direction doesn't mean that that's going to be your end all be all
Mhm.
and the perfect amalgamation of what your company is. It's about continuously growing and continuously learning. And I think that's the real, if there's anything to take away from this conversation, is you have to continuously improve and build upon yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're not continuously building upon yourself and learning, you're just going by the wayside. There's elements that are continuously changing, especially in the content creation realm, where if you're not keeping up, then most likely things are not going to continuously progress for you. There's gonna be some type of lull and downfall.
Yeah.
But if you're continuously building upon your skill set, I personally think that there's no way that you're gonna fail
Yeah.
over
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dude, this is great. Okay, so this is a part of the podcast where I give you any marketing or business advice. Is there obviously there's nothing I can tell you about growing 100,000 followers in a month. So maybe there's another part of your business that I could help you out with. Is there anything that you need an extra set of eyes and ears on?
How about how to hire?
That is really
Do
good.
you,
Yeah, I do.
do you have any experience with hiring people?
Yeah. I've hired lots and lots of people. My last company, I mean, I got up to about 25 people, um, and and then with my current company now, there's about 9 of us, and so here's what I say. You don't have. Are you doing literally everything yourself right now?
Literally everything myself, except for the only people that I have that I've used consistently is a brand manager who only handles partnerships when I bring them to them. So they basically handle sponsorship opportunity and so forth.
With brands, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, so
but as well as as well as basically use someone as a 1099 to help me produce digital plans for my
okay,
builds. But that's basically it.
so the first hire that I would make for you in your BYOT empire is a personal assistant. That's exactly what I. That's the very first hire. I would find a virtual assistant, but before you do that, I would write down on a sheet of paper on one side what is everything that I must do, and on the other side is what are the things that I absolutely hate. The third one is what are the things that I must do, but someone else could handle, right? Because on one hand, you're figuring out what are the things that only you can do. So, like this, in this bucket, could be like go into the bank account, at least for right now, right? Um, talk to, I mean, even with like you're the only one that builds, right? So, like you're building, right? That's what you must do. What are the things that you absolutely? What? Give me 3 things that you absolutely hate.
Emails.
You can easily outsource that. Second thing.
hmm. I'd say always having to remember to post every single morning and every single afternoon.
So you can hire somebody to do that, or create the content in advance and then give it to somebody else to schedule it, and then you review it before it goes out with the captions. You know what I mean? They can even write the captions, but you can do that. Okay, the third thing. What's the third thing?
Third thing. Oh, booking. I guess I can just throw in booking all of my flights and hotels for myself when I'm
Perfect.
traveling.
Perfect. I've hired people to do those things for me. I've had people in my emails literally acting as me, right?
hmm
They know my tone of voice, they know everything. The second thing is I don't ever produce my podcast. I haven't produced my podcast in 5 or 6 years. I hit record, it goes into this software. I take the link to the software and I put it on the date that I want it to go out. And then my production team just handles the rest so that I can stay focused on having a great in depth conversation with you. The third thing is, I've even had people, it sounds wild to say this, but like, the annoying feeling of like looking at the flight and you're like, then you're trying to get the cheapest or the best or the like, you want to get in on a certain day and time, and then you like, but I have a spreadsheet with all of my miles and all of my logins. I have my preferences of my flight time and my arrival time, and then I literally have somebody else book it. Here's my credit card, and then book it. That's what I do. And so, okay, so look at all of those things. How many hours a week would you, on a, let's just say a typical week, how much between emails, scheduling, and posting, and then like just give me a guesstimate on an average amount of hours that you would spend per week doing that?
Say 20 hours.
Oh my God, dude. So look, if you did 20 hours, times.
I mean, obviously, the majority of that is email, just because there's so much influx in regards to
For
sponsorships,
sure.
going back and forth with brands, content, and so
But you can
forth.
create a system. You can create a system where, and really it's like a pipeline. You're like, okay, a deal comes in. What's the offer? You review it. And then, but somebody can be pushing that along, right? So let's just say 80 hours a week, right? And I'm just very curious. What could you do with 80 hours in a month? Give me three major things that you would do if you if you could have 80 hours. What else would you do?
The first thing that comes to mind is actually taking care of myself.
You could go to the gym, right?
Yeah. So I'd say that the one thing that I'm trying to stay focused on, especially this year, is trying to physically take care of myself,
Yeah.
because over the last few years, it's exhausting as well as debilitating on, especially with injuries and so forth. I'm doing physical and construction labor.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something that comes up because I'm
Yeah, dude. You
physically
need monthly
working every
massages.
single week.
You need monthly massages. You need to go to PT. You need to get your uh, acupuncture. You need like some longevity stuff. You need to make sure that your bones are tip top shape, like you look good, so that you can show up for your family, for yourself, for your audience, right? So that, dude, you need a virtual assistant. You need a personal assistant. Stat. That's what I,
It's happening.
that's what I would do. That's exactly what I would just because here's the other thing. Depending on your personal assistant, you might be able to find somebody locally, a stay-at-home mom, or if you want a virtual assistant, you can get, and you can pay a virtual assistant. It takes a lot of time, but you can get a good one between $7 to $12 an hour. If you want somebody locally, and you're in the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yeah.
$20 an hour, and you $20 an hour for like somebody good, but like
Yeah.
somebody and what I would do. So the next step that I would do is like write out in a spreadsheet, like what are the things that you must do, what are the things that you absolutely hate, or what are the things that you are doing now but you could potentially hand off, and just literally write that out. And then the stuff that's in the middle, the stuff that you absolutely hate, copy and paste that into Chat GPT and then say, write me a job description for a virtual assistant, a part-time virtual assistant, and these are the tasks. This is my ideal person. And then put a small budget to it. And then post it to Upwork, post it to Craigslist, post it to, and then literally have it go to your Gmail. And then the next thing that I would do is just I would say, when you respond back with your favorite color in the subject line, because that is going to tell you whether they're detail oriented and they pay attention to task. Because that,
I
and
like
then
that.
what will end up happening is like if they don't put their favorite color, you delete that application. That's literally what you do. And then so, dude, I'm excited for you to get 20 hours a week back in your life.
Me and you both, my man.
I think you need this in your life, man. I think you absolutely, absolutely. I always recommend. I just got another person. I just got a personal assistant this past month, and I'm super excited about her because she was doing a lot of the lead generation and outreach, and I was like, you know what? I think you can I think I can trust you to do more stuff for me personally. And just this morning, I was like, hey, here's my vision for my company. And then I was like, do you mind me showing you this? And she was like, oh, I'm excited. Because now, if you get the right person, then they're invested in your success because they know when you're successful, they're successful. And then as the company grows even more, what's going to end up happening is like you build your first deck, you already know how to build 3-4 decks afterwards. So what's going to end up happening is that you're going to hire one person, and then that person's going to get a bottleneck, and you're like, okay, now I know I'm going to need to hire a second person. And then you're going to develop this muscle of like hiring people. And then once you do it, you're going to be like, shit, why did I wait so long?
Why did I wait years?
Why did I wait so long to what? Save $500 or $1,000? Like what? You know what I mean? Like, why did I wait so long to save this money when? And it's funny too. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, I always tell people whenever they have wood business, I was like, the first job you need to outsource is your sanding. I was like, because sanding is a low wage task. And you're the artisan. You don't need to sand unless you want to learn a second language by having AirPods in, and you're just like, you don't need to sand at all.
Yep.
Hire a high school kid, hire a college kid.
Hours of my life sanding that wood table.
You don't need to sand. What a waste of time. I'm sorry. Like, woodworkers, you don't need to sand. Hire that out. You can save yourself 10 hours a week. What could you do with 10 hours a week? Go out and get 3 more clients. That's what you could do. You could, for you, 80 hours, dude, you can make 3 more videos that will make you even more money. Exactly,
man. I love it.
So,
that was a perfect way to end it.
Cool, man. Dude, thank you so much. So tell everybody your Instagram and your YouTube and your website.
So everything, no matter what social media platform it is, it should be under BYO Tools. So BYOTOOLS.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brent, for your time and for sharing your story. It's really, really inspiring, man. I loved hearing your story. Thank you so much.
No, thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
All right, take care.